Super Valkyries in action with the Royal Champion charge is going to be blowing your mind. So let's dive in and see these Legends League attacks. Alright, here we are on the first attack and we got a double poison, kind of a diamond base, but obviously this is going to be a toxic one because obviously the Super Valkyries are really good to dive into a base and shred everything, but this one has a lot of base like walls around each single defense, you know, like the major defenses are just around the walls. So that's why I'm bringing you strategy to show you how versatile it really is. Now the way it's actually being deployed is quite similar to the Root Rider Valkyries, and this is just a version that is just super interesting. Now obviously when you're charging next to a town hall or close by a town hall, make sure you make your RC a bit kind of, I would say, invisible as quickly as possible so you don't run out of troubles like losing the fox. We lost the fox, but it is what it is. I really wanted to get that archer tower. Now we're gonna go from the opposite side, pop the giant arrow to make the funnel, going with the siege barracks, a baby dragon and a Valkyrie to help to clean that wizard tower, going with the major army, everything down the middle. Obviously a headhunter, that enemy queen just jumped on the other side of the wall, that's just crazy. But obviously we do have a jump spell, but I didn't really quite wanted to use that yet, so I'm going in with an early rage. And now it's about the warden ability, how you pop that and how you actually manage to drop your spells with noticing the Valkyries dying is important. I always suggest you to drop a rage first, or if you see a very heavy damage base, drop one Valkyrie, it dies out, and then drop the rest of your army inside that little rage spell. And obviously you can see how the healers will keep being inside the rage spell and how the queen P.E.K.K.A.s and those Valkyries on the outside will help you clean through. This is where you can see the king's ability absolutely getting over with the core and the walls layers, going with the freeze. Headhunters obviously is being used on the enemy heroes and you just need to have good timings with them, and obviously the cleanups in this army are the key to getting triple. But look at the time, even though the strategy uses a royal champion charge, guys, we are crushing this base in literally 2 minutes, and the only thing is obviously our clan castle and the queen did a little bit of, you know, just struggles at the very end of the base. Otherwise this would be a lot cleaner and it would be a lot more crushing. Now this is how the strategy works. I'm going to give you all the tips and tricks I can personally to kind of give you enough information of how you use these kind of little troops with the Valkyries, and obviously keep a few cleanups like a wizard archers in case just like this something happen and the kind of buildings are quite far from each other. You can obviously not waste any more time of your precious day. Okay, so we have these 3 last defenses, and the thing about Valkyries is that they're quick. They can get through the clan castle quite quickly as well. That's why in this army, as you can see, we have no poison, and well, that could be an interesting part in the next attack. On the next base we have a rage, really compact rage, and a very isolated monolith. So how do you get into these bases and what do you do with the jump spell, the warden ability, king ability? Well, I'm here to tell you guys. Now look at this RC charge. I'm gonna drop it on the left of the wizard tower so you have access to the multi-archer tower compartment. If not, guys, you don't need huge RC values. You can literally use invisibility to redirect the RC into this exact compartment, even if there is Teslas to pull you away. Now these are the important compartments, and that's because of not having a key defense, but just simply because of the funnel it gives you. Now once the RC did her thing, I'm going to recall her from this area, so I'm going to use one more invis to try to get the multi-archer tower a bit lower, because why not, we can get it. Now we're going to go with a recall, obviously some cleanup on the lower side, pulling the skellies as well. We can kill them with the wizard or something. Now this is where you kind of don't want the siege barracks and the queen to come with your army. You want them to be separated and spread out as much as possible. Going with the Valkyries, healers, loons, king, mini warden and the royal champion. Make sure you remember that one wallbreaker and then the jump spell. My wallbreaker did not work on this attack, and look at what happens. We literally ran through that wall, and now I'm gonna jump through the core. Valkyries dropping that second rage because the first one was from myself, and now the healers are moving from rage spell into rage spell into rage spells. You can see how the strategy works. Obviously, I would advise a very early warden to keep the test loons alive to tank for the healers, because king in this strategy just doesn't die. For some reasons, he's just too good to die, you know. And obviously you can see the rage from the Valkyries is a bit near to the outside, and that's where our headhunters literally melted the enemy king. So this is where your heroes will clean the rest of the base. All you need in this army is to get one corner from the base with the RC, spam into the base with the Valkyries, and get the core of the base and a bit of the back end, and then your heroes can simply finish whatever is going to be left of this base. And the Valkyries are just not meant to live, they're meant to die. Like, you want them to die, so you get the rages. Now obviously you need to kind of sometimes zoom in to see, okay, there is certain Valkyries that are going to die quite early, like maybe 3 of them are dying, so let me pop the warden, you know what I'm saying? So let's move on to our third hit. On the next base we have another heavy basically core with the rage and a poison tower, just like our last base. But what is the difference in this attack is that I'm gonna give you a tip where sometimes the funnel might not be perfect. What can you do to avoid your queen or the Valkyries moving away and coming to each other and just being a bit weird? So going with this RC charge, just like we did on the last attack, in a corner of the base, the defenses we are getting are not a huge rage tower, are not scatter shots, they're not monolith, we are not doing too crazy of a warden or royal champion charge. We're simply getting a simple value with the funnel. So make sure you drop those spells nicely whenever there is a lot of bombs. If you don't need to go too much forward, recall the RC, keep the fox alive. It's just better and easier to finish the base off going with that recall. Now here is where again I'm going with the cleanup, and now this 3 o'clock compartment is not going down with only the queen because the expo is not reachable. So what do I do? Now, let's see my wallbreaker. Obviously, these walls are nice designly, I can't lie. Like, the wallbreaker goes to the left. Going with the Valkyries, loons, king, and also everything we got. Now, notice my royal champion charge. Drop. It's going to be a bit to the right. So she goes and grab that expo because king and the Valkyries cannot do that. But you can do that with the RC. Now notice my queen, P.E.K.K.A.s and the wizards getting the funnel on the top side, raging into the core with the warden ability, and I instantly pop the king ability. On this account, I actually don't have that ability maxed, so we didn't take down a few defenses. But if you have maxed abilities, well, you can actually crush the core before it actually does any damage to you. This is where we still got so many Valkyries. I'm going to rage them, even though you can see the Valkyrie would have dropped the rage. So that's what I mean by not forcing and being patient on your spell drops. They're gonna help you out quite a lot. Now obviously, as I said, this is where the base is gone, but the Valkyries are also gone. So make sure you don't want to keep them alive, you want them to die. This is the only strategy. You want your troops to die. Like, there's no way you will think one day in Clash of Clans like, oh my god, I actually need my troops to die to actually triple the base, you know? But yeah, obviously you can still triple with Valkyries left over, but it's just not ideal, you know what I'm saying? So even if sometimes you use Valkyries rage spells, oh yeah, you can see my king there. If you use Valkyrie's rage spell, you can actually use your own rage spell on your queen on the outside, keep her alive with the healers and the P.E.K.K.A.s or the Valkyries from the siege barracks, or use your rage spell for the royal champion. Fourth hit, we're going to be hitting a double invisibility base. Now this is going to be a box where the town hall is literally the furthest town hall on a box base possible. But guess what? We're just going to go opposite side of it, because why not? I'm going to show you the power of this strategy. So we're going with the RC walk again in a corner that is simple. We're not going into invisibility. We don't want to trick the base, you know. It's just simple kind of royal champion charge just to get a few defenses on a corner to give our Valkyries nicer path. Now you can see the RC, I don't know, somehow she wanted to target the king, but then she ended up didn't, and I missed the fox. Unfortunately, poor fox died, and I could have gotten this monolith, and that's just on me, okay? Sorry about that. It is what it is. Now obviously here is where you want to have a nice giant arrow to try to activate both of those invisibility, and as you can see, we're doing that nicely. Now we have an ice golem. Whenever the base is really toxic, you can drop the ice golem forward of the Valkyries, or you can drop the Ice Golem with the side of the base, and you can see the rage spell being dropped and everything going down the middle. Obviously here is where you can see I wanted to go with Valkyries, Super Valkyries, and jump later. You could jump very at the start and then drop the king ability later. It's not the biggest deal and it's base depending, but you can see how in the core, guys, these rages are insane. There is not a single strategy that you can get through this much damage without that what do you call it, like the kind of the spell that, or the overgrowth, yeah, the OG spell. This is insane. Like, obviously, tell me you're not impressed with the Super Valkyries. Obviously, you don't see them being used, and you don't see anyone really use them in Legends League, and that's simply because not everyone knows how they work around other troops. It's like people think maybe they should be dropped in front of P.E.K.K.A.s, for example, or they should be dropped in front of, I don't know, Super Witches. Like, it's about them being themselves in the attacks, and having those healers in this army is a whole other deal. And as you can see, 4 healers alive with 2 swag free spells. On the last hit, let's show you a more meta base like the core, town hall, double poison, sweepers pointing down, spitters pointing up. Simple as that. Now you want to get again a corner of this base. You don't want to dive into those spitters. Like, come on guys, that spitter, did you see how crazy it just turned its head? It's insane. But as I said, you don't want to dive into poison towers, you don't want to dive into town hall. Obviously you can't, but oh my god, we lost the fox. It is what it is. But look at the value, guys. This is not like, for example, I'm showing you 11 invisibility, royal champion, haste, vile, rage combination to get half the base, and then super Valkyries for the other half, whereas you could use any other troops. No, this is actually the whole strategy. All you need is funnel. Get that funnel, and now you can see we're getting the other funnel with the Wallbreaker. I use the Ice Golem again for the funnel, going with the Super Valkyries, Warden, King. I'm going to drop the Loons and the Super Valkyrie on the outside. We will come back to the main of the base. We have the Royal Champion back into the action. Our first rage is being deployed by the Super Valkyrie. Here is where you can see I'm going to kind of pop the Warden ability, moving into the core and negating the Clan Castle troops. They have 2 or actually 3 Furnace troops, and I'm going with the King ability to give access to the entire base. If my queen dives into this base, she can reach everything nearly because of the obviously kind of the ricochet cannon. Now obviously you can see what happens if you are too greedy with keeping your Valkyries alive. They're gonna die all at the same time at the end of the base. This is where you can see obviously the rage spells are still usable for the healers, but the way they die is that it's very end. You don't get to use the rage spells. So let them die when you're moving into the base. Let them die when you're in the core. Don't let them die at the end, because at the end of the base, you can use your own rage spells if you didn't at the beginning. So you can see how this strategy is really interesting, and the way it works is not like any other. It's just the whole idea of this Super Valkyries is coming from the Root Rider attacks that I've kind of access to in this season, and I was like, you know what, I want to make it interesting. Let's bring the Super Valkyries, and it just worked perfectly. Like, I'm loving this strategy obviously, and you can use it in CWL currently. You can test it out in Legends League, and you can use it in Wars. Let me know how it was and how it worked for you, and well, hopefully you guys enjoyed this strategy. The link of it will be down below in the description. See you soon later, take care and peace.